I could.
Oh,
and I have.
I mean, I'm not
on
judging.
many occasions.
I'm not judging if you do
no,
or if you don't.
No.
But what
Back
I'm saying
in the day,
for me,
that Haagen-Dazs strawberry cheesecake, I was like, container
napkin,
is a setting.
Wrap it around.
Blue.
Right. Have your hand and your spoon. You're like,
but I'm trying to do better.
Okay. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's why I don't eat it that often, because I know I will eat that whole thing.
I was trying to figure out a way to freeze dry that bitch and get it back in my luggage, but it wasn't happening. So given, the complete and total privacy, off came all of the clothes.
Okay.
And we was like, we didn't actually make it to the beach the whole time. One, because the weather kind of sucked. It rained about 50% of the time while we were there. But we were like, well, what do we need to go to the beach for? Because we weren't going to go to any regular beach. We were only going to go to Hallover Beach, which was the clothing optional beach.
Yeah.
What was the point of going to the clothing optional beach? We were going to rent chairs, put them in a circle or a semicircle or whatever, facing the sun, and then we were just going to sit and talk to each other and occasionally go in the water. Well, shit. We had a pool and a hot tub with total privacy. And everybody took off their clothes, and we just hung out by the pool. So there were, at most, there were 5 of us.
Okay.
The 4 of us plus, 6. 4 of us plus one of the brothers from Deep South and one of the pledges from Deep South.
Okay.
What's up, Deep South? So 7. Anyway, so
7.
Whatever. We all just, had a wonderful time there. So let's start with the story. All right, so
you know what?
Elimination. One of our brothers met this dude from Trinidad with these old knock knees and these old fucked up ass teeth, but he had a fat ass.
Elimination.
And he kept trying to make it seem like he's like, I'm not. He was trying to talk himself out of it. He was like, I'm not going to take him home. 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 And then, so this started, we were at Alibi, which is the spot where you can get the quart size Long Island iced teas for $3. Yes, bitch.
Okay.
Woo!
Yeah,
I had to pace myself because I'd already had like 4 drinks before we left the house. So that 1 quart size Long Island iced tea,
I'd have been shit-faced
on the
bar.
I was good. I can hold my liquor, but
I can
at that point I'd had a lot.
Shit.
And so it started there in the club. Then it moved over to, it used to be called Boom, now it's called Hunters. And next thing you know, they grinding on each other, and he's still like, I'm not gonna do anything with him. We was like, all right, girl, we'll see you tomorrow.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not judging elimination, but like
we're judging.
Well.
And damn Disciple can't even finish 1 damn drink in the club.
What is going on? You can drink beer all day long.
He can drink like 10,000 beers.
And listen, with 9 bathroom stops.
Right. But 1 fucking quart-sized Long Island iced tea, and he's like, I just can't. And we were like, you's a little bitch right now. You know that? You's a little bitch.
I'm kind of disappointed, Disciple. I'm disappointed.
So after we left Hunter and our brother from Deep South left with the big booty knock-knee Trinidadian.
That is...
he had a real big booty. He had knock-knees. And
listen.
We went to remember when we went and there was that grilled cheese spot that was across the street from all of the clubs? Oh, was that you?
What grilled cheese?
No, you didn't come. This was when we went in Fort Lauderdale. Because we haven't been yet. You gotta come. We gotta come in.
Where did I go? Where were we at that we went to? I was in Florida with. Was it you? No, that wasn't you. I can't remember.
But anyway, so there's this grilled cheese spot in the gay neighborhood right across the street from all of the club.
Is Alibis have the black and white floor, black and white tile floor?
Yeah.
I was in there before.
I'm sure you've been there. I mean, anybody who's been to Fort Lauderdale has been there.
I had to think about that. Yeah, okay.
And it's up the street from Ramrod and all of that. Yeah.
So, I'm good. Oh.
So we went to the grilled cheese spot, and there were these 2 Mexican guys who were like, Mexican from Mexico, well, they were like from Guadalajara. One of them was from Phoenix, and the other one actually lived currently in Guadalajara and was just there on vacation.
Okay.
And they were talking, and they had made friends with this cute black dude from Spain, like España. Yes. His parents were like Nigerian and something.
Okay.
One of his parents was Nigerian, and the other one was European Spanish or whatever. So he, so of course, I went into molestery mode, and I was like,
molestery mode.
I was like, so what kind of underwear do you have on? He's like, well, I got on some little box. I was like, you should show us. He's like, no, I can't really show you my underwear here in the cheesecake spot. I was like, all these homosexuals around here?
Like, who cares? Like, just
right,
pull
it's
it
3
out.
o'clock in the morning. Everybody's drunk. And then so I was like, you really should do it. You really should do it. Yeah, you should do it. And so he did, and I stuck my finger in his butt while we were at the table. Then I was like, it's a wet wipes. It wasn't anything nasty, but it was just like, sure. And then, so he's sitting there, and then, of course, he's talking foolishness because he talked about how, his strategy for, avoiding HIV was, one, he didn't get fucked, which, sure, okay. Even if I believe that. He also said he didn't swallow, which then our brother Volt, who works in infectious diseases, was like, well, most of, you're still swallowing pre-cum or getting pre-cum in your mouth. And he said he didn't swallow. He didn't say he said he didn't, it's not that he didn't let someone come in his mouth. Is that he didn't swallow. He was like, well, if you let them come in your mouth, you might as well swallow because whatever you was going to get, you already got when you let the semen get in your mouth. So, you can come on. I was like, and then so I'm like, so.
What you gonna do?
You come on back to.
What you gonna do?
We got a hot tub, lights, and everything.
What you gonna do?
Right, so we good.
What you gonna do?
And then he was actually there with some other friends who were actually a little pissed off that our superior Mac skills had pulled him away from them. And we weren't even necessarily trying to Mac, but it was me, it was Legionnaire, it was Volt, and it was Disciple, and plus these two dudes from Mexico. We had all been drinking, and we were all just sort of fucking with him. But if he had come back to that to our pool, he was gonna get fucked. He was gonna get got.
Got good.
Yes.
Yeah, got good.
Multiple times. But his friends were like, we gotta go. He was like, okay, girl, not that pressed. I mean, this is just like a game for us. It's like cats toying with a rubber mouse. I mean, we weren't really trying to do it, but if it turned out to be a real mouse, we would have ate it.
Fuck this damn live shit. It's getting on my nerves. This iPad is getting on my nerves. These motherfuckers just don't want to rotate. So I'm having a day, so I'm just letting it go. So
then the next day we went to Ramrod, and we met the most draining Negro I have met in a moment. He, one of these girls that's not new to the community, but don't know nearly as much as he thinks he does, which is nothing. So he kept talking and how people, to cover their lack of experience or their nervousness, they put on this bravado and shit. And he's like, I come in this club all the time, and I'm a pretty, I know all of this guy, that I know that bartender and that bartender. We was like, okay, girl. And I'd like to introduce you to our brother Elimination, who lives here and who works with the bartenders all the time and who's personal friends with Mr. Ramrod. So whatever. And then he tries to introduce me to Mr. Ramrod, and he was like, he's like, Dominion! And I looked at him, and what I wanted to do was like,
pay attention.
Exactly.
This is how it's done.
Right, honey.
This is how you do it.
Exactly. I don't need you to introduce me. Yeah. But anyway, whatever. He had a nice enough butt, but he kept acting like he had the best ass in the world and like he needed at least 9 inches because, his butt was so big. He's like, I got 4 inches of cheek, so you got to be at least. I was like, your butt is not that big. I mean, you got a big booty. He had, well, you do. This is no shade. This is no shade. But he kept acting like he had a booty like yours. And he had a wide, somewhat shapely ass, but it was not nearly big enough for the minimum dick requirements that he was saying based on. He was like, he made it sound like he needed 10 inches of ass because he had 8 inches of booty cheek.
You
and
do
if
not
you didn't
meet the minimum dick requirement.
And it's not even that. It's just that first, sometimes you tolerate shit because people are cute. He was not cute enough to justify all of the shit that he was talking. So at some point, he said something, and I had just enough drinks to be like, he said something that was like, you know what, I don't care.
Yeah, cute gets you, yeah.
And then he started talking about he was going to have a vest made, and he talked about getting a crocodile leather vest made. And I was like, that would be perfect if you want to be seen as a poser. I didn't give a fuck. By that point, the Legionnaire was like, oh, you don't give a damn, do you? It's like, no, because this dude is just blah, blah, blahing on about how, one, he told us that he was going to play. He is talking to the president of Deep South and the pledge master of Deep South, 2 members of the National Council and former members of the National Council. He told us what he was going to do once he became a member, how he was going to pledge, and then all of the things that he was going to do. And then he said, as soon as I cross, I'm going to get this crocodile leather vest made. And I was like, well, then you won't be hanging with us because you will show up looking like a poser. Because, my filter was low because I had a number of drinks. So
can we just pull out his Bama card on the fact that you have a crocodile leather vest?
And his point was that he works in textiles. So I was like, so you're like the mood of South Florida. He didn't know what mood was. So that's immediately called into question for me whether he was actually in textiles. Because I feel like if you are this big textile distributor, you would know what Mood is, who was like one of the biggest fabric stores in New York and Los Angeles. But okay, sure, whatever. Yeah. So I was just over him. And then Disciple started talking about, oh, your booty, you're going to have pussy trauma. It was just like...
Pussy trauma?
Yes, honey. So then we left Ramrod.
What the fuck is pussy trauma?
I can't even remember. I just wrote it down, but now I can't remember. So then we're sitting so then we went to this spot called Nick and blah, blah, blah's Courtyard Cafe, and we're sitting there all, gracefully fucked up and, having a lovely time in our graceful fucked upness and having, how it is. It was Denny's, but not Denny's.
Okay.
It was Denny's at a local Wilton Manors institution. And we're sitting there, and this queen sits down with his friends, and they're talking like this, and he's talking about, I don't really care for Beyonce. I mean, she's a fabulous dancer. She's got wonderful, everything about her is wonderful, but I don't really care for her. I'm really more into Britney Spears. And she just had that voice that was loud enough to cut through all of the chatter, and her conversation was completely inane. And then she said the shit that just ruined me. She said, well, when I usually meet a guy, I don't usually bareback until the second date. And we're just sitting there like...
Can we just have a moment of silence for just...
I don't usually bareback until the second date. And we all wanted to be like... So what more have you discovered about him between the first and the second date that now you're willing to let him nut up in you? Listen, I'm not judging that you bareback. I just don't think that there's a great deal of... If your reason for not wanting to have condomless sex is because you want to, get to know someone else better or whatever... There's not a whole lot of difference between date 1 and date 2.
Right.
Especially since they most likely occurred like the next day.
Right.
I mean, it's not like you dated the dude. It's like the next date. So, okay.
That's people got a lot going on. And let's whatever.
Yeah, so we were over him. Then we went to, that was all Friday night. Yeah, so we haven't even got to Saturday. So Saturday, we went to drag brunch at Alibi.
How was it? Anybody notable that you saw?
There were gracefully busted drag queens in tattered costumes.
Gracefully busted
Meaning
drag queens.
that they weren't terrible, but in their defense, it was like 1,000 degrees outside.
Well, you're in goddamn South Florida, so I mean,
And
I
this
would assume
is
there's gonna
outside. This was not an inside. It was on the patio.
Okay.
So, and then the drag queen that was leading looked like the Lady Chablis, like a taller version, a taller, thicker. And by thicker, I don't mean she was fat at all, but like Lady Chablis was like petite.
She was very tiny. Yeah, very tiny.
This was like a 6'3" man from the Bahamas, and he was fine. They actually had like their costumes weren't really busted. There were a couple like loose seams, and the costumes could have been tightened up. They needed a special K.
They didn't have on their pageant wear.
No, they needed a special K to come in
special
and
K.
Sew them up real quick and get them together if they were going to compete in a pageant. But they were fine. So like the lead queen was this black queen from the Bahamas who was meant by, she called us her Bahamas crew, which really meant black people.
Okay.
And she just kept saying shit about all lives matter and how we should respect John McCain, and elimination was like, child, she's old Snow Queen. And then so she at some point she wanted everybody to raise a glass, and so we all raised the glass, and she said, I want you to repeat after me. And we're all like, in anticipation, all lives matter. And everybody at our table put our glasses down. And he was like, I see you, my Bahamas crew, all lives do matter. And I was like, yes, but we're talking about black lives. Listen, I'd had enough drinks. So.
And you had already let it go.
I was already done. And then John McCain and, respecting, I was like, girl, bye. I mean, she was nice enough, but, she didn't get as many tips as she could. That night, we went back to Hunter's, and all I can say...
I'm still stuck on pussy trauma. Like, I really am stuck on pussy trauma.
Yes.
But okay.
So we were in Hunter's, and guess who was there? Terry McMillan. Waiting to exhale.
Really?
With her ex-husband. I thought it was her current husband, but it was her ex-husband.
The one who... Wasn't he deported?
No. Apparently not.
What?
The one that turned out to be homosexual.
Yeah.
The one that was played by Taye Diggs.
What?
He don't look nothing like Taye Diggs.
Nothing at all.
No.
Nothing at all.
Let me tell you, old boy's eyebrow game was immaculate.
Drawn on.
Immaculate.
I'm sure.
And I thought the gag was, I thought that was like her current husband. And I was like, ooh, she sure know how to pick him, don't she? Because that dude, and I was like, how could you not have seen that this dude was a homosexual? Because I don't want to stereotype, but that dude was clearly gay. And it was backed up by the fact that, there were like all these queens floating around him because he probably got a little money from the settlement or whatever. And, but I noticed that he didn't really like start getting his freak on until Terry went to the other room and left. But anyway, so, I forgot to mention. So,
did anybody go get an autograph? I mean, so listen, I used to read her books, and so I probably would have been like, hi, can I have your autograph?
No. First of all, I didn't really care. I mean, her stuff was but I wasn't never really super into it like that. And I don't really get autographs like that. What I'm going to do, just hold on to that piece of paper forever? What I'm going to do with it? Nah. So, I forgot to mention that the big booty, knock knee, fucked up teeth Trinidadian.
That elimination probably went home and did.
Oh, no, we know he did because we saw the video. Shitted on the girls.
Elimination, you need your ass beat.
No, he put no.
Look, I'm here for you.
He put
He
put the girl out. He put the girl out. But
we is too old for this shit. But literally and figuratively.
But Britney Spears. But he showed up when we were eating dinner at the Courtyard Cafe that night, and with Britney Spears was talking about she on bareback to the second date or whatever, and he sat down, and then Vogt with his old shady ass start talking about not fucking with the girls if they haven't cleaned out good. And he was laughing at Kiki and along, not knowing we were reading the shit out of him all night long. I was like, yeah, if a bitch shit on me, she gets put the fuck out. And everybody was like, yeah, that's terrible. And, Disciple was like, I would never do that. What kind of a person, shits on the dick? I mean, that is just terrible. That's disgusting. And dude is just sitting there laughing and kikiing along with us. And we are straight reading the shit out of him because we have been drinking. So.
God love the gays. God love the gays.
And that's about it.
That's a lot.
It was a lot.
I mean, it's a lot of fun. Listen, people, this is like a normal weekend for I swear I think I have the most tiresome weekends whenever we all go hang out.
Mm-hmm.
And
not when you hang out with me.
I think it's you.
Not tiresome, tiring.
Well, I'm sorry.
You worn the fuck out.
I'm worn the fuck out after a weekend of hanging out anywhere with this one. Because
you know what? You're welcome.
Listen, I'm not complaining at all, but what I'm saying is you go on vacation to relax and to have fun
and have adventures.
But these vacations are not about relaxing. They're about having fun and adventures, because that's what happens.
Yes.
Because it's always an adventure. From the moment we get on the bus or the plane or the train to the moment we check into the hotel, to the moment we get to the first stop, the first club, the first drink, there's always an adventure. So listen, and I usually contribute to that shit because I always have something going on just with my own personal shit. So listen, it is what it is. But I'm wore the fuck out when I come back. Wore out from every vacation.
Whew, but in a wonderful way.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Bitch, I really needed to take Tuesday off because I came in the office, I was like,
sitting here like,
whew.
Okay, it's Tuesday.
Listen, we didn't even go.
It? Oh, it's 9:30.
The reason why that story cut short is because we didn't do anything on Saturday. We went out to dinner, and then we were supposed to go out to like a tea dance where they play disco all night long. But after we had dinner, I was like, girl, y'all can do it. That was the reason why I'm glad me and Disciple had rented a car, and then Volt and Legionnaire rented a car, and I am so glad we did, because I was like, no one felt obligated to do anything if they didn't want to do it, and I was like, girl, y'all can go out if you want to, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm tired. I am 47 years old. We went out Thursday night. We went out all day Friday and then went out Friday night. We went out all day Saturday and went out Saturday night. I'm done. I am tired as shit. And all of that was punctuated with swimming in the pool and everything. I was worn the fuck out. And I even weighed myself. And despite all of the shit that I ate, I actually lost 2 pounds this weekend. I was like, girl, no, I didn't go anywhere.
My ass was moving all damn weekend long.
Yes. So, yes, we had a wonderful time. Oh, and I bought this shirt.
I administer cruel and unusual punishment.
Yes. From, I keep wanting to say Mr. S, from Leatherworks. So.
Damn it, I forgot about Leatherworks being down there.
Yeah. They're going to have some more shirts in, so.
South Beach. But they're in,
no, they're in Fort Lauderdale.
They're in Fort Lauderdale?
Everything's in Wilton. We didn't go anywhere outside of Wilton Manors. When we arrived from the airport, we didn't go anywhere that took more than 5 minutes to get to from our house. There was no need. That was why our house was in Wilton Manors. It literally was around the corner from all the gay bars, around the corner from the leather bar. We didn't even make it to the bathhouse because there was no need.
Yeah,
everything we wanted to do
was right there.
So yeah, so we didn't leave the city of Wilton Manors except to arrive into town and to leave town. So we had a wonderful time. So,
come on, Walter.
Walter said.
You know what, Walter? I can't even imagine being a fly in the room when that happens. I can't, not with you. I can't. Anyway.
Yes.
But, so, let's see. I guess my weekend was just like nothing then. I mean,
it was cute for you.
It was all right. I mean, we were off with a 3-day weekend. I'm like, okay.
How was the bar night? Did we make any money?
Let me file back through our memory banks. Bar night was cute at Green Lantern. Yes, we did. It wasn't a lot of money, but we made some money. We had a decent turnout.
Counts.
Yeah, we had a decent turnout for that. It was not the last bar night, the bar night before that.
Sure.
But it was a decent bar night.
Sure.
And it was it was cool. We had a good time. The next day, what did I do? I tried to do nothing. Actually, I hung out with some more of the brothers, and we hung out all day at their house, doing absolutely nothing, lounging around. Then I wound up going to MSC for a minute, the Master Slave Conference, which was in Tyson.
Which was great. They had 520 some attendance, which was a record. And that's great. That is great. I'm really happy for Master Taino and the Master Slave community.
It was a great turnout. It was this year compared to
previous
the last one that I went to, especially during the dance. It was night and day. There were so many people out there, so many people laughing and joking, so many people talking. I got to meet a couple people. So I mean, it was a really good turnout. And the dance, while it was late that night, and I'm sure people were trying to do other things, Cujo came and spun, and he did his thing. So he had his little turn. It wasn't turned, but it was he was turned. But that was part of our crowd. But I got to see my line brother Phil, and I was so happy to see him.
Phil was there?
Yes, he was there. He was there with his girl, ML.
So it would have been inappropriate if I tried to see your finger in his butthole then.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably. But ML and I were sitting there talking. Like it was great. I hadn't seen her in a while. She cut her hair. She looks great. Phil looks great. He looks happy. You know, he's just in a great space, and I was happy to see him. And so I was like feeling kind of I wanted to see him. And then when he texted me and said I'm in town, I was like, what? I was like, what do you mean? So I went to hang out with him, and I saw him, and so that was a good time. So it was me, Deviant, Gray, 007, and Seven actually came.
Oh,
and
good.
So Seven, of course, jumped in the pool naked.
Of course.
Which, I was like, but the hotel wasn't necessarily set up for that, but we still had a good time. Let's see. Then the next day I came back for the panel discussion, which was it was entitled Removing the Veil, and it was a discussion about MS relationships with Onyx members and the MS relationship. So we had a couple brothers and some pearls that were actually on the panel. So we had Shango, we had Phil, who actually jumped on there.
Good.
We had Savage that was there. We had Symphony, who actually came as well. So it was a very interesting, the pearls.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So we had a very interesting conversation with that. Otter was actually on the panel as well. And so, again, we had a very interesting conversation, and it kind of segued into a lot of different topics. We had a great time. And it was just a really good, feel-good moment. So I kind of liked it. It was really fun. Rod was on the panel as well.
Good.
And so it was pretty good. And that was pretty much the end of the weekend. Then I came back home and,
Slept.
Got myself together and slept. Listen, this summer, I said I wanted to do something every single day, and I feel like I have. But, baby, I am wore out. I'm tired.
I got you.
Throat, this neck, and just tired. But that's what 47-year-old bones will do, and I'm just a little tired. So.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, and I'm good with it. But other than that, it was an okay weekend. So,
all right, well, what about Colin Kaepernick and Nike versus White America?
Listen, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google, all the internet is all up in
the interwebs.
All the interwebs, internets, anything that have to do with a web and an inside of and a spin and a online and everything. They're all up in arms. Their panties are in bunches. They are wet. They are twisted around their necks.
They're not wet.
They are around there. Well, they're wet because they're perspiring. Well, some of them are wet because they're perspiring because their asses are scared.
They're spitting mad.
These fools. So, first of all, if you haven't seen the commercial, I implore you to go and find this commercial.
You haven't seen the whole commercial.
The commercial it gave me goosebumps. Like, it literally gave me goosebumps. And the way they put the commercial together, it was so well put together because they mentioned all these different types of people. So as far as athletes are concerned, male, female, I believe whether they were cisgendered or not, and that was what I made that assumption. So I could be wrong. So please, somebody correct me if I am. But the verbiage and the wording and the feeling and the sentiment behind it was everything. And when Colin showed his face and actually made statements, it gave me goosebumps. It was I listen.
Yeah.
Nike, you did that.
They did all of that.
You did
and
all of that, and I'm here for it.
I was reading on Bloomberg, I think, that this has been something that's been in the works for weeks because Nike, he's had a contract with Nike since 2011 when he was playing, and they were going to release him after he stopped playing in 2016. But somewhere along the line in the last 2 years, they renegotiated it, and here's why. Because other shoe companies were trying to woo him away.
Yes, indeed.
And Nike was like, well, we got him on
lockdown.
So, I had been like, well, damn, how's this brother supporting himself? That brother been supporting himself just fine.
Very well.
And this is like as close to what you could call a 360-degree deal. Well, not 360 like in the record business, but it's a premier contract. He has the same contract as like a top NFL star.
Because part of that is because at the time he was part of that.
No, this new deal.
Well, yes, but his deal originally.
But I'm saying he hasn't played in almost 3 years.
No,
he hasn't played
that.
in 3 seasons.
I absolutely get that. But his original deal was
and
sweet
it's unusual, right? That was sweet then, but it's unusual for a person who hasn't played for 3 seasons to get the same kind of deal as like the top quarterback in the league, and it's a deal for his name is going to appear on jerseys, shoes, everything, and because it's one of those premier deals, he's going to get a percentage. So that brother is
he's good.
He's good. Is set.
Listen.
So here's my thing. Hey, Colin.
What up, Frat? But anyway, so there's listen.
I'm not hating.
It's a 2-minute spot, and it's titled "Dream Crazy," and it's narrated by the quarterback and showcases a montage of multiple inspirational sports-related stories from amateur and pro athletes, according to the New York Post. And it was released on Twitter and also YouTube. And so there's a quote where it says, "If people say your dreams are crazy, if they laugh at what people think you can do, good." This is what Kaepernick says. And then about halfway through the ad, Kaepernick, who's been called unpatriotic for kneeling during the national anthem to protest racial inequality, looks at an American flag and says, "Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything."
Yes.
When I tell you, again, it was goosebumps for me. They had Serena in the background.
Yes.
They were saying that don't just be a black girl from Compton, be the best athlete in the game ever. Like it is. Listen, that commercial.
So you know, white people are big mad.
And these fools are big mad and protesting by cutting off the Nike signs and the swooshes off of their sneakers.
This
setting
dummy,
shit on fire.
Not only did he set shit on fire,
the fool didn't take them off.
set his shoes on fire with his feet still in them. And I'm just like, that's just.
You are an.
I don't even have words for how stupid that is.
As Huggy Lowdown says, you are the Bama of the week.
Right.
You idiot.
And, so there was, and people just don't think this through. I was like, Nike already got their money, though.
Listen,
so how are you hurting Nike?
So people, they're so mad about them. They're like, well, we're going to make their stocks go down. Listen, their stocks did go down for a second, but those stocks, as of today, are up. And they're still rising.
They're about to be up because I'm about to go to the Nike store over at National Harbor this weekend and pick, because I was already in the market for some shoes, and I was like, listen, if this is what they support, then I'm supporting. I'm not saying that Nike isn't problematic, but most large corporations are, but they did this.
40%. 40%. That's
sure that's 40% because 0.32 does not equal 40% because their stock was worth like $75, so 40%
increase from where it was. You literally when you look at that market, when you look at the stock market, it kind of shows they went down and then back up
from the starting point yesterday.
Yes.
Okay, but that's unattainable.
So
over the long term,
it's still up, and that's where we are. That's where we are.
Our friend Carl, or not your friend, my friend Carl, who I used to do reality with, posted that there is some sort of a discount shoe store in a mall in Colorado Springs that their protest was to mark all of the Nike stuff down 50%. And I'm like, well, girl,
that's a protest?
That's not a protest, because the way this shit works,
you're going to lose money.
The way this shit works, You already paid Nike for all of that shit.
You
so
just lost money.
You're taking a loss on your own shit. So who are you hurting? If the shoe costs, if the Nike charge you even the wholesale price, Nike's already got whatever money they were going to get. So whatever you sell that shoe for don't affect Nike at all.
Because they made their money.
Right. So
and for me, listen, I need a name and address of this store.
So because I can get some friends.
Listen, because the Air Huaraches for me are the best things they've ever made. I need a white pair, I need a black pair, I need a blue pair.
And then that was another thing, is that these people were burning old janky-ass Nikes. It wasn't nobody burning $300 pairs of Jordans. These were some old 4-year-ago Nikes that they've been using, whatever. So
they bought the $59.99 that was on sale at DSW. That's what they bought.
Right. I like these two memes.
Listen, for me, that whole summer is for me this whole protest about everything that Colin Kaepernick and the Nike protest and all this stuff. To me, the response on Facebook is, which is to them cutting off the swooshes and burning stuff. To me, it boiled down to these two memes for me. First, there was one meme that said the people burning Nikes are only burning them because they ran out of crosses to burn.
There you go.
And then the second one was, you don't support Colin Kaepernick, yet you go to church to support a pedophile.
Boom.
I'm done. Those two things are absolutely everything for me, for Facebook. And I was like...
Listen, so Trey posted, because, Trey doesn't really follow the news, so he wasn't even really aware of what's going on. So he asked, what's the whole thing with Colin Kaepernick?
I saw that little exchange, yeah.
People started responding, and then one of his white friends, gave his best, white thing about, he protested at work and blah, 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 and you can't do that and yada, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And then Scrappy, one of our brothers, attempted to engage him. And then I posted that, hey, Trey, some of your friends are prejudiced as shit. Or I said, some of your friends are real bigoted assholes. Just be sure that to add them to the list of motherfuckers that are not allowed in my house. To which dude took offense to that. And then he wanted to go back and forth with me. And I was like,
But why are you mad?
I don't argue with...
And wait a minute. Spot the lie.
Right. And then what I said, I was like, listen, I don't argue with bigots for free. I got that from our brother Mark Montgomery. It's like, I'm not going to argue with you for free. Now, if you want to pay me, we can engage in this back and forth. And then Scrappy was like, well, I felt like I needed to defend. I was like, you cannot win this argument. These motherfuckers are still arguing over the Civil War.
Listen.
Despite the fact that they clearly lost that. Clearly.
Shout out.
And the fact that it's been 150 years ago, they are still fighting about that. So nothing you can say about Colin Kaepernick. Child, just move on. You make them feel foolish and move on.
Shout out to Scrappy for actually keeping your cool, because I actually read your post in there and you were just very one-worded, and I was like, and listen, anybody knows Scrappy knows that he can kind of listen. He can go all the way there.
He can go
rah-rah. He was very calm about it, and I was like, there's some growth. That's growth. Yeah,
growth into a fucking wall. And then, so anyway, Aretha Franklin's funeral. So we took time out of our busy schedule of getting it in Fort Lauderdale to watch the funeral. So I'm just going to give the highlights.
Let's go back. Before we go anywhere, let's stop right there. Miss motherfucking Cicely Tyson.
That hat.
The hat was everything. This hat was, listen,
old
zip code, area code,
gravity,
airspace.
Listen, if you would drop something in it, it would enter into orbit around it.
This hat was everything. And Miss Cicely Tyson at 90 plus years of age, I think she's 95.
93, 94,
93.
Something like that.
Listen, she is a year or two younger than my grandmother. Miss Cicely Tyson turned the motherfucking party and had nothing didn't have to say anything, but she did read a very nice, she had a very nice little speech, but she didn't have to say not one thing.
Right.
Because that had said it all for me.
Now, so here are a few of my highlights and lowlights. First of all, the fact that they thought that they were going to get through all of this shit in like 4 hours was like, even 6 hours.
Did you see that?
Was
5
laughable.
Minutes. 5 minutes they gave some of the performers. 5 minutes.
Right.
You gonna tell me that Yolanda Evans gonna have 5 minutes?
But they did.
Jesse.
But no, all of the gospel performers stayed within their. All of the performers stayed within their allotment. It was the preachers that
Jesse
went over. And old mother, the root now refers to Jasper Williams Jr. as that old Jasper ass nigga, and he referred Jasper. That was so. I gotta get to what he said specifically about it.
Listen,
he said there has never been a bigger turd in a sweeter punch bowl than Jasper Williams Jr. What he said during the eulogy wasn't just inappropriate; it was violent and evil. And I couldn't agree more. I was watching it, and I don't really go to church, but I was like, listen, this is like an event, and you respect. I've always respected people's religious belief, even if I don't believe in them, as long as they don't fuck with my ability to do whatever the fuck it is that I want to do. But listening to him speak and him talking about everything that's wrong with the black community is the fault of single black mothers and black on black crime, and black lives won't matter until we start making them matter. It was the worst respectability politics I had ever heard. And I had heard this speech so many times, and I knew that God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, was the next thing about to come out of his mouth. So we turned off the TV after that and didn't turn it back on. So we missed Stevie Wonder performing. By that time, we'd already committed like 6 hours to the motherfucking thing.
listen.
My favorite performances. I didn't see the Clark sisters, but I did see Yolanda Adams and Jennifer Hudson, who turned it. I always have loved Jennifer Hudson ever since Dreamgirls. And what she did Amazing Grace, and Yolanda Adams did Mary Don't You Weep. Mary Don't You Weep is literally my favorite gospel song ever, and it always brings tears to my eyes. So that was perfect. And what are you hating on J Hud?
No. Listen, let me be clear. I like Dreamgirls. I like Jennifer Hudson playing Effie in Dreamgirls.
Y'all can see my face, right?
But my problem with Jennifer Hudson is every time she opens her mouth, whether she's in church, on the stage, in the park, to sing any note, I hear Effie. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that is what I don't like about Jennifer Hudson. I think she is a decent enough entertainer and all that good stuff. Like, she does stuff. That's
Ooh,
great.
look, we're out of time for this segment.
But I always hear Effie every time she opens her mouth, and that's my problem. And one of the reasons why
Effie is good though.
And one of the reasons why I liked her solo project, her first one, when Neo did Spotlight, is because he toned her down. That's what I liked. But I'm just one person. That's just my opinion.
I still like you.
I tolerate you.
Then, let's take a moment to talk about Ariana Grande. So here's my thoughts on Ariana Grande. I didn't think the performance was terrible. I didn't think the performance was good, but Aretha chose her personally. Like, she didn't choose Jasper Williams to give the eulogy, but she did actually choose Ariana Grande to sing. So I will defer to her. Just like your cousin might not be able to be the best singer, but Grandma said, she always liked that song, and she was always moved for whatever reason. So Grandma said she wanted at the funeral, so she get to be at the funeral, and that's that.
It wasn't Aretha worthy as far as I'm concerned.
I don't think anything about her is Aretha worthy, but that's not my choice. And that was the person who died's choice. And so I'm going to respect that. In terms of what she was wearing, I'm of two minds about that. You can say it was inappropriate for the venue, but then I felt the need to critique even that statement, because why is it inappropriate? Why has women's dress in particular been so thoroughly critiqued, not just in the Baptist church, not just in Christianity, but in all religions?
True.
The way that women are dressed has been critiqued and made to seem like it's a way to get closer to God, when really it's about the fact that men can't keep their dick in their pants. I don't know. I'm not a Muslim, so I don't take this on absolute authority, but I'm pretty sure that the reason that women have to wear full face veils and whatever is because dudes can't control themselves around women showing their bodies. It's the same reason that women in the churches wear veils and they talk about being modest. Modest for whom? God gave you that body, so if you're blessed with that body, why can't your body be an instrument of that praise? So while my initial default thing was like, that's inappropriate, I also felt the need to challenge that for myself personally. Like, why is it inappropriate? And I respect that people don't see that way. Some people are just going to only say that it's inappropriate. Some people are only going to say that she should be able to wear whatever she wants. But I'd like to be able to see both sides of the issues and examine whatever thoughts that I'm having from all perspectives, and particularly when it comes to how women are managed and controlled in terms of the words that come out of their mouth and the way they present themselves. That has found its way into culture in a way that has now become tradition.
Okay. I respect all of that. I don't necessarily know how I feel about. I don't necessarily know how I. Well, I'm not gonna say I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like women should be able to wear whatever the hell it is they want to wear.
Yeah.
Period. I do feel like there is a. And some of the women that watch this show may be able to chime in and say this, because thinking back with the relationship between my sister and my mother and all the women in my family, women think about things on different levels than men do. And I was witnessing a situation even between my mom and my sister at one point where it wasn't just about a parent and a child. It was something that was specifically between two women. And so when growing up, watching my mother talk to my cousins and my sister about things that they should do and shouldn't do and how they should do it, it was on a woman-to-woman type of level. Mm-hmm. And I think that while, like I said, you should be able to wear whatever the heck it is that you want to wear, I think that some of the women would probably have felt that modesty may have been more modesty may have been appreciated.
But why though? I mean, I get it, and we could argue about this forever.
But that's not necessarily how I feel. I just feel like, again, you should be able to wear it.
You can understand that.
It's like, okay.
So from John McCain's funeral, Aretha Franklin's funeral to John McCain's funeral, just quickly.
Listen.
I didn't watch it because I didn't care about it even in the slightest. I did see the picture of Meghan McCain with the ugly cry over her father's casket, and I can respect that. As a person who has lost a parent, that ache does not go away. My mother died on December 30th, 1999, and she died because I was the one who gave the order to pull the plug, because she had said in her will that if all options had been exhausted and there was no, and I asked those specific questions. I said, have all options been exhausted? All options have been exhausted. Does she have any brain activity? No, she has no brain activity. The only thing keeping her alive is those machines. I said, well, then that's what her will said. And even to this day, I mean, I don't feel like I killed her. It's not that. But I'm just saying that I can understand. That was 1999, so we're coming up on 20 years since my mother died, and sometimes it still feels like it's yesterday. So as a child who has lost a parent, I can feel that pain and separate the sympathy for that pain from my total dislike of everything else about John McCain. So that's why I didn't watch the funeral, didn't really care anything about it, so fine. But if you have other thoughts.
I really didn't even... so we lost a life. Number one.
Yes.
We lost a politician. We lost a veteran. We lost someone that has been fighting for the good in the country. I'm putting that in quotations for many years. The thing that I actually liked about this, I'm putting that in quotations because that's
good for whom, but sure, go ahead.
The thing that I actually liked about this funeral was the fact that John McCain had specific orders that
it was petty as fuck.
That Donald Trump was not to be there, nor was Sarah Palin to be there.
I didn't know that part about Sarah Palin.
She was not invited. He left specific instructions. I was like,
Listen, your funeral is the last time you get to be petty. And I have honestly given thought, because I don't have a will. And, we will actually talk about that. One of the things, how you have your like drunk, serious conversations around the pool. And I was saying, well, what do I want my instructions to be? And do I want to be petty in, the last things? And I was like, some people can call it petty, or other things is like, look, I don't want fake ass people at my funeral.
Well, yeah, like don't.
We already know how 45 feels about him. And it's my understanding that he didn't care for Sarah Palin because she was a moron. I was like, but that's kind of your fault. You should have known how dumb this bitch was before you got her on the thing. So we got 5 minutes left. So we're gonna talk on.
But anyway,
another. So congratulations to Ayanna Pressley.
Yes,
she will be the first African American woman to represent Massachusetts in Congress, and it's almost a certainty because there is no Republican running against her, and the person that she defeated was a 10-term congressman, and this is the second time, or this is actually the third time if we count our brother down in Florida, where a progressive, because Alexandria Ocasio, whatever, in the Bronx, Massachusetts, and Florida.
Okay, got you.
In all three of those races, those people, I mean, it wasn't that they were unknown, but they certainly were not projected to win. Yeah. And in all three, they won.
Yes.
And in those two cases, both of those women are almost certainly going to go to Congress.
Absolutely.
Whether this brother becomes governor remains to be seen, but I feel like he's energizing people.
What I found interesting with her, though, is that she actually, it's not necessarily that she has different political views than him. And it's still
they just wanted to change.
They wanted to change, and she had conversations with them. She said that they pretty much would vote the same way.
Right, so and they did. Listen, I was not there. Yeah. It didn't seem like they were like fighting tooth and nail. It wasn't like this ugly battle. It was just that it was like, you've been in Congress for 10 terms.
Yeah,
that means you've been in Congress for almost 20 years. So it's time for you to go.
Yeah. So, but and lastly. My girl, MC Light, is breaking barriers. She's performing at the Kennedy Center on the Kennedy Center on the 21st. Here's a couple things about MC Light that I mean, although I knew her growing up,
I didn't
know anything about her. But she, Brooklyn native at the age of 17, she first appeared on the scene with her debut album Light as a Rock. And featuring classics like I Cram to Understand, Light as a Rock, Paper Thin, I'm a Woman, and 10% Disc, which is one of my favorites. The album was celebrated by The Source as one of the 100 best rap albums. With over 3 decades in the industry, according to the Kennedy Center's website, she has made a host of impressive firsts. She was the first rap artist to perform at Carnegie Hall and the first female MC to perform at the White House, which I'm trying to remember when that, like, I don't remember that. Maybe that was on one of the back rooms when...
It must have been when Clinton was president.
Because Shaquita performed in there as well.
Really?
Yeah, Shaquita.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was a couple years ago. Yeah.
So she was also the first solo female MC to be nominated for a Grammy Award and the first female MC to receive a gold single. So I was like, okay, shout out to MC Light for breaking down barriers. She has 12 albums underneath her belt. She has a critically acclaimed album, Legend, and her newest release, Spotlight, MC Light is coming to the Kennedy Center and is going to take it back to the beginning with a 30th anniversary celebration of Light as a Rock. And the concert is going to feature a performance of the full album backed by a live band in addition to her other hits from her repertoire. And I'm kind of interested because I think I kind of want to go see this because I want to see 10% Disc done live.
Yeah.
And so I might have to go check that out. So
yeah, I might have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, shout out to MC Light. But this is on the 21st. God.
That's when you're going to be out of town.
I come back on that day. And then
that's not the Tampa trip, though.
No, that's in
Virginia. December.
Tampa's in December.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So, where are we at? We're right there. Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm going to see Kathy Griffin on Saturday. So I'm psyched about that. We got box seats, row 1 through 4. So we right on that front joint. I'm about to be like, Kathy. Oh, and then she posted the shadiest.
Kathy Griffin.
She posted. It wasn't shady. So fucking Tommy Lauren. You know who Tommy Lauren is? White girl, short, always caping for the worst people ever. Looks like Ann Coulter's younger sister. Invited her on the show, and Kathy Griffin was like, You and your entire network said that my career will be over. I can't do your show because I'm in the middle of a sold-out world tour. Fuck you, bitch. It was like literally what she said. Listen,
and
Kathy
this is
gives
why I
zero
love.
fucks.
This is why I love Kathy Griffith.
Yeah.
Like I listen. Her comedy is so in your face, and I love it. But
Yeah, and you know she's got a lot of shit to talk about.
Yeah, she does. I'm sure. So.
All right.
But anyway, so the BGK8 show.
Oh, I got one more thing. I'll get to it when you get to me.
Okay. Well, we stream live on Wednesdays on VoxWave.com, and 9:15 to 10:15 p.m. Eastern, and 6:15 to 7:15 p.m. Pacific. Episodes are available on YouTube every Friday, and you can search for Vox Power 373 and look for the BGK8 show with Dominion Epic. So coming in the fall, just to remind you guys again, we will have a live,
all the way live
studio audience. So
coming to you directly from the mothership.
Right. So
top of the chocolate Milky Way.
Listen, bring it together, bring it in. Listen, just be here.
Yes.
But anyway, before we get to that, before we get to the fall, let's figure out how to get to myself and Dominion and Dominion. If you want to reach me, you can reach me on Facebook, and you can look for me under Epic Onyx. If you want to reach me on Instagram, you can find me under the name I Am Epic Onyx. And if you want to reach me on Twitter, Jesus, at Epic Onyx 1. Dominion, tell people how they can reach you as well.
At Dom Onyx on Facebook, on Twitter and Instagram. Facebook.com is facebook.com/Dom Onyx. And my website, www.domonyx.com, where you can catch my column, Dominion's Opinion, which will be coming back this week because my article for Recon will finally be up. And for you girls that either don't have Recon or don't have a full membership like our brother Majin Buu, because he was trying to show me a picture. I was like, let me zoom in. Oh, you don't have a paid membership, so you can't zoom in. Oh, this is awkward for you. Anyway, my article about sadism or my views on sadism will be up, and I'm also going to be reposting it to my website. So cool. That's going to be fun. And I've been encouraged to start writing Alex and Alonzo again, so I'm going to try to dedicate at least 8 hours a week to writing and finally get some
Can I make a guest
movement
appearance
done.
Can I make? I just want to
No,
make a
because
guest
that's not.
I need to be just in the
background.
background.
That is not how I feel.
I just need to be. I didn't say. Listen. I didn't say. Listen.
There's no background.
I don't want to jump in. Listen.
There's no
people
sexy
silver
silver-haired men just in the background.
Why not? They gotta go
just
eat.
Doing
they
shit.
gotta. I'm just saying I can stand there, pour some coffee or something. God damn. I mean, come on, help a brother out. Shit. Immortalize me. Shit. But Merce, worship me. Love me. Love me.
Okay. So, thank you all. It's been fun, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week. And thank you. Yes, next week.
Yeah, but I don't say we're gonna talk about. So in 2 weeks we're gonna talk about. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, we don't want to announce that.
Yeah,
we want
we'll
to just pick that.
So thank you all for coming out. Have a good night. Bye. Bye.
I wanna know how to do it. I wanna know how to hand dance. Show me how to do it. I wanna know, can you teach me? Can you teach me how to hand dance? Can you show me how to do it? I wanna know how to hand dance. Show me how to do it. I wanna know how to hand dance. Show me, show me, show me.